Well, as you can tell, Coastal Nostalgia is the title of our latest collection, ready for summer and warmth. And nostalgia, I just want to tell you, I looked it up. Nostalgia means sentimental longing or wistful affection. Wow, that's neat, isn't it? Now we've got all of these, which I will show you in a moment. And then Debbie has done some absolutely wonderful projects I'm happy to share with you. In fact, let me show you one of them. We'll get in close. And isn't that gorgeous? Thinking of you. Well, absolutely we are. So won't you please come play with us? Now, before we get into the projects, let me just show you what's in here. And I'm going to slide these over and start with our 12 by 12 papers. And look at that. In fact, just let me bring them in. Now, there are 12 sheets in the package. And there are 56 cutouts, so let me show you that. In fact, this is the very first sheet. Now, isn't that just very vintage and absolutely wonderful? Okay, so that's the first sheet, and then on the back side, we have more of the waves in the ocean. The second sheet has this really fun border at the top, and more of our waves and some text, and of course the seashells, and this is on the back. And here we have a sunset, just beautiful. I've seen sunsets like that. And then on the back, we have the sunset colors, but with a pattern over the top of them. Then we have this, you've got a surfboard and flip-flops, just all those bits of summer. And this has got some sand as well as the ocean and seashells. Now here is one set of cutouts. Now there's two borders. And these tags, and notice that it's that art goes across all three of them, so it finishes that landscape. We've got a lighthouse, we've got starfish, and all of that. And on the back of this, we have this with the border that already has a piece on it. And then we have our cutouts with the greetings. All of them have the art that matches, but most of them have greetings, but some of them just have the art, so you can layer them, maybe add a different greeting if you want to. So we have that, and on the back side of that, we have this. So all of those coral colors are playing nicely. And because we never forget our scrapbookers, oh goodness, let me turn this over. Oh, here is the page that I have to share with you. And this is on the back of the package. And we've got two photos that are matted on the solids, which I'll show you next. We've got some die cuts, which I'll show you. This is the chipboard. Doesn't that look like exactly like a sign? And isn't that gorgeous? This is on the sunset sheet, so quite beautiful. This palm tree, I'll show you, is in our cutting dies. Now, so this is what we have, and on the back you will get a page and a card with some directions. So that's our first stop. And then we have the solids. Now the solids, you also get 12, and there are 12 sheets, you're gonna get 12 colors. And we can do that because on the back of this teal, we have a lighter one. So that's two colors. We have the yellow, it's kind of a golden yellow and a light yellow. We have a green and a lighter green. We have the blue with a white background and the red with an orange, that coral look. We have a brown with a tan on the back of it. So you're gonna get two each of those. And I promise you that they will match perfectly. So that works nicely. Now we have those two, but then we also have more. So we have the die cuts, and the die cuts count at 31 of them. And you're going to get a sheet of each of these, and they are just going to pop right out. And just like the cutouts, they all have the art that coordinates with Coastal Nostalgia, but some of them have just the art. Most of them have greetings, but you can layer these, and so that's just a nice benefit. On this package also, we give you 2 card ideas, and so that's fun. We always like to give you ideas to really you know, kind of jumpstart your creativity. So that works well. Now we do have 6x6. I'm not going to go through this because it's the same designs as what I showed you originally, but you're going to get 4 of every single one. So you're going to get 24 sheets in here, and you get 112 cutouts. My goodness. Now, for today, Debbie did not use the 6x6, so I wanted to share a couple of ideas because our cards are 5x6.5. Well, the 6x6 works perfectly on the 5-inch area, but they're not long enough to cover the whole card. So this is one idea, is to take a bit of one of the backgrounds and glue it here, and then put in your 6x6 sheet, or this is going to be a 6x5 or a 5x5, whatever you want to do over it. So that way it can cover the whole thing. And there is one of the borders that was used. So that's an idea. You can always do this where you're putting something at the top and the bottom and then have your 6x6 in the middle. So that works. This is all the chipboard that I'm going to show you in a minute. And then here is another idea. So we've done it horizontally and vertically. You can do the same thing. Put a paper, cut it in half, glue it at each end, and then put the 6x6 in the middle. So just lots of ways that you can use that 6x6. I didn't want it to get unhappy that it didn't get any prime time. Okay, we also have the chipboard, and the chipboard has 16 pieces. Now you saw that ocean breeze bound that was used, but there's also Relax at the Coast. We've got seashells. We have a life preserver, of course, a palm tree. We've got seagulls too. So all of those, and there is an idea on the back of the package. In fact, that is the one that I just showed you. So these are all the chipboard. So very, very nice. Okay, as I said, there are 16 pieces. Then, last but not least, we get to our cutting dies, and there are 17 here. A lighthouse, the palm tree, we've got the hibiscus flowers that are very tropical. We have palm leaves. We have, of course, the starfish and the other fish, so lots of things. And because we now have the thin cuts, so we're going to get in close to show these to you, just so that you can really see what happens. So normally, or back in the old days of last year, to get this kind of detail, you would either have to deboss or emboss. But what that would give you is a very thick line. Sometimes a thin line is what really differentiates, and let's see, this is going a little wonky, okay. But the thin line really differentiates the art. You can see this on the shell right there. You can see this on the hibiscus. It just makes it so much easier to color and to add dimension. So as you can see, I think right here, there's the palm tree, and you can add the extra palms to it, the extra leaves that are in here. And it's just lovely. It's just a bit more refined, I think, and you're going to be able to get a better look out of it. So those are our cutting dies. So you've got just a preview of each of these goodies, but let me give you some more ideas. Okay, the first one from Debbie is this, and she took a tent. Did she? Yes, she did take a tent slimline card. Now, what they look like before you manipulate them is they look like this, and the tent fold is up here. But what Debbie did is she kind of made a gatefold out of it. So she laid it flat, scored in the middle of each of the panels, and then brought them in. Okay, I haven't seen that done before, and it seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? Okay, so we have a slimline gatefold. And then what she did is, because that was white, she used, well, actually, let me just start with the paper, okay? Because that's always a good place to start. Now, this is the sheet that she used on this card. Now, you can see this is our sunset sheet. So you can see down here that this area is what she used. So she cut 2 pieces, and she matted them on the green, and they do cover each of the panels, so that worked nicely. Then on the inside, okay, so on the inside, she's using more areas of this same sheet. In fact, what's really interesting to me is that she's used the top part. So you can see the sun right there, and you get a little bit of the palm tree. And then going over here, she used just another area of this sheet. So she's used the bottom part, the very top part, and I think that this is just an area down here. Each of them was matted on the green. Now, when you get to the score lines, you're not going to be covering them. So she used, I think it's holly green, just to ink those, just so she had a continuity of color. So that worked very nicely. Now, let's go back to the card front. You can do it. Well, that's one of the cutouts. So she cut that out and matted it on the green and attached just the left side of it to the left panel. Now, these other pieces are a mixture of the chipboard and the cutting dies. So let me show you. I'll bring these back. So you can see the life preserver is right here. And it kind of looks, when this card is closed, it kind of looks like it's hanging there. But that is part of the chipboard, as you can see. Now, she is going to use a lot of the ink pads, and she uses the blending tool. I like to use the blending brush, but you can see there's a whole variety of browns and greens and a teal and the letterbox red. So all of those. Now, this is chipboard, but this is the cutting dies, so you just mix and match. Now, fortunately, with all of the solid colors, you can just do that easily. Okay, now inside, well, that With Love, I think, is something I have to talk about first. So the With Love is from our Big Greetings. This is Gold Pearl Big Greetings, and you can see that it's right there. So this is what this sheet looks like, and I have removed the backing. This is what you would get. And there are hearts and flowers in there, and she has done a couple of the hearts, so With Love. Now, what else did she use? Well, let me show you. There are the die cuts, and let's see, here we go. So here is a border. She trimmed it to fit this long piece right here. So these are all a mixture of the cutouts that are on the sheet. So you saw that you can do it. To My Friend is right next to it. I think, oh, and then we have the flip-flops, which are right here. So she's glued those down. The blessing, that oval, give me ocean and sunshine, all of those are from the die cuts, as you can see. So those are just going to do a really nice job. You can see the idea of pairing them, putting one on top of another or overlapping. That just works really, really nicely. And that is her first card. Now that is her simplest card. So let me move on from there. And our next card is this one. Let me show you what's going on here. So this is our 5 by 6.5 inch card. And what a fun play on the colors, don't you think? Now, the card was covered with this orange, okay? Then she took this sheet, and what was really funny is I kept trying to figure out how did she get that, and I had forgotten that that border was right on it. So that's going to be trimmed a little bit smaller. Then she took this piece, and she wanted to have, let's take a sunset walk. Now that's one of the die cuts. So there we go. Let's take a sunset walk. It's already matted for you, but she wanted to put it on a strip. So she used this sheet. Remember I showed this was at the end? And trimmed that and then matted it on the darker red. So here's the orange and there's the red. And then put the tag on top of it. She did put some jute to go through the hole of that. And then look at all of those flowers. Aren't they gorgeous? And those were done with the colors you've already seen, but also with this and with the red and the orange. See, those were all done with the cutting dies, as was done the lighthouse out of the tan with the yellow, that soft yellow. Very nice. And then there's some rocks down with the tan, also inked. So, and you can see that those, more of the cutting dies, just what a good job that has done. So let me show you the flowers and the palm leaves. So those have been used like leaves behind all of those. Very, very pretty on the inside. Okay, you ready? Something's going to happen. Here we go. How fun is that? Okay, look at that. Now what she used is a cutting die. I figured you could figure that out, and I've got it digging it out from here. And here is the cutting die. It is called Double Door Pop-Out, and that's exactly what it does. So this has got two pieces, and you're going to cut out one of each. And notice that she used the same paper that she used in the front. It's going vertically. She used it going horizontally, and then cut out two of those pieces out of the solid. So here is the solid, and you can see how beautifully that matches. And so she just cut two pieces, used the two dies on the solid. And let me just show you what the directions do. Oh, actually, I can show you even better because I have a sample in here. Okay, there are the dies. Come to me. Okay, and what you do is you cut out two of them, and in each one there are score lines. And when you turn them over, you want to put, this is 1/2 inch wide extra sticky tape next to the score lines, not going over, but next to the score lines. Then what's going to happen is that this, you're going to remove that tape and you're going to place it next to the edge of your card. And you want to have that V that is formed, you want to have that against the score line. Okay, maybe I can show it to you. Let's see. Well, I don't know that that's going to be even more because this goes back. So what happens is that when you attach this and then you attach that, then when it folds down, it's going to just hold it and pop up, and then you can decorate the inside however you want. So you do that on both sides. And again, the directions are right there. Super easy. Placement is easy. And it is pretty foolproof if you follow the steps. So I'm going to put these back and tuck that in. Okay, so that is again the double door pop-up, and what it does, it just kind of presents this to you. So we have cutouts, we have the die cuts. This is that same paper that already has that border. Added another border and some of the cutting dies using the papers. So, so this is going to read. I'm going to put that in. Let's take a sunset walk. Enjoy every day. I'm going to open this up, and it says, "Love you from coast to coast." I love that. Beach vibes. And we have a wonderful palm tree. Palm tree is just the beach to me, as well as the sand and the shells. Okay, that is our second. Now, it's going to get a little tricky this time, and it's with this one that I showed you in the beginning. So as you look at this, what you can see is that an arch cutting die was used. That's right, we just happen to have that. But notice the placement. See this arch? it's over to the left side. And then the next layer is this blue layer, and it is a little bit to the right. And then there's another layer, and that's over. So everything goes from that edge. So let me show you what happens when I open this, and I'll give you information. And I love the palm tree going over this, and that's where those extra pieces really come in handy. Thinking of You is one of the die cuts. And then when I open this, look at this. This is what we have. So because our lighthouse is, of course, over on the edge, Debbie needed to make it so that you could really see it. Okay, I'm going to start first with the inside, because then that's the thing that positions everything. So we're going to take this piece, okay, this piece that has the sand, and we're going to cover our inside of our card with it, okay? Then we are going to take this cutout of our lighthouse, and we're going to mat it on the teal and put it right here. Now, these pieces can be added later, so at this point we're going to stop right here, okay? Now we're going to go back to the card front, and what we'll need to do, I'm going to leave that open. I think it'll be a little bit easier to see. Now, what she did is several layers, okay? So I'm going to start with this layer because we need to get that arch done on the card's front, okay? So we're going to take, see my Post-its on here? We're going to leave this alone. So we're going to cover the card with tan, okay? There's the tan. Then we're going to take this sheet, and you see where the rocks are? Okay, we are going to cut a piece that's going to get glued on top of the tan, and this piece is going to be 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. Oh, wait a second. Yes, that's right. Okay, and you want to have that beach, those rocks. That's going to be an important indicator, and that's why it's good to get this inside done first, because then you have a place to orient. Okay, so you're going to cut this piece, and again it's 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. And then you're going to take the arch, and the arch that is the smallest arch, you're going to place that right here. I use low-tack tape to hold it in place. And then you're going to run it through your die cutting machine. Now, because this card is 6 1/2 inches, and you probably have a regular 6-inch wide one, you're going to put a piece of scrap paper on here, fold this back, and then run it through your machine. That will work perfectly. And you'll notice that this arch is 1 inch from the fold, and it's 2 inches from the bottom. 1 inch and 2 inches. Okay? Now, you could leave that and just add the palm tree out using the die cuts, or the cutting dies. You could just do that. But no, our Debbie went further. Okay, so what she did is she used this area for the next one. You see the waves down there? That's the piece that she used. And it's not as finicky as the first one because we needed to make sure to get those stones up here near the lighthouse. Here she's just got the waves. And this is 4 1/2 by 6. It's matted on teal. And it is using a larger arch, but let me get this out of the way for you. The larger arch is the 2 3/4 inch wide. So you see the little one, and then you're going to jump and go to the second larger one. There are 6 arches in here. And then that is going to be 3/4 of an inch from the left. Okay, this first one was 1 inch, this one is 3/4, so that you can see this down below. That's going to be cut and then foam taped in place. This one is from the sheet that you used on the inside. Remember that? And I think I've tossed it here. Oh no, here it is. Okay, so you did that sheet on the inside, but now you're going to do another one, and we want to get some of the waves. So you can see down here, so you want to get some of these waves, and I think you're going to be best served. Okay, so what I do is I kind of look like this is a different one, and I see that it's right here. So I'm going to start from the left-hand side, and it's going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/4. And it is matted on the dark brown. There it is. And then the arch is the 3 3/8 inch arch, and it's just 1/4 from the left-hand side. Do you see that? So that's 1/4, 3/4, and 1 inch. So that's the placement of the arches. And so then that piece is die cut and then foam taped on top. Now, I will put this information on Debbie's listing so that you have which arch was used. I know that this is more involved, but it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it gives you, I think, a pattern to use for other things. Now, you may want to have your arches just straight in the middle. That's fine. Debbie had to have them over, but now you've got a pattern for that. And what's nice is that you've got all the materials to use this. So the Thinking of You, as I said, is one of the die cuts. Coastal Breezes, Sun, Sand, and You. That's very nice. And these are all with the cutting dies. So beautifully done. Okay, I have one more. You ready to take a deep breath and do that? Well, we've added something more, just in case, you know, all of this wasn't enough. We have added the Vintage Journeys. Now, this is the 3D. It's called Pyramid. The reason why is this. You can really see it on this suitcase. So the suitcase is number 1. You just pop it out. These are all die cut. Then it tells you, so that's number 1. Number 2 is the handle. So that's going to be foam taped on top, and you just foam tape it on top of the matching art. Then number 3 is this one. Well, it's obviously going to go over here. Number 4, well, it's obviously going to go over here. But number 5, see that luggage tag? It's going to go on top of that. This is going to go on top. This is going to go on top. So you end up with this multi-layered piece. And isn't that neat? You're going to get that 3D. And I thought it was really fun that Debbie, so you've got these tags, and she put HOTP 526, which I think this is airing on 526. Paradise is our destination. So there you go. So you can make that. And this is, I think, the only one that actually has 2 sides. So you get a lot more for, I think, just $1 more. And look at that. That's kind of like the Route 66. You know, that's having an anniversary this year also. So that's fun. And this one looks like the postage stamp, or postcard rather. So that's fun. So, okay. So what she did, go back to the card, Paulette, is that she covered the card with brown. And let me show you. Okay, so she covered her, oh, you know what? That's not true. Okay, this is a trifold. Well, you know, so there is the postcard, and there is the suitcase. How fun. Okay, so what you do with this is that you take one sheet, and that's going to be your card base, okay? And you simply make it 5 inches tall and score it in the middle, and then that's these two. And then you're going to take another piece, and let me show you here. I've got this out of blue to show you. So here we go. You have 12 inches by 5 inches. So score it in the middle. That's at 6 inches. Then you have another piece that you can cut. Now this is 6.5 inches long by 5. Because the 1/2 inch you're going to score it, and you're going to put extra sticky tape, and you're going to attach it to the back just like that. So that's how you can make this tri-panel out of solid colored cardstock, just like that. Okay? That's exactly what the lady did. Now, each of these panels is using a piece of this sheet, which is why the 12 by 12 is so useful. So she has taken this area for her card front. So forget about my matting. I was wrong. I was wrong. You do it out of this card. Okay. So that piece. And then she went down for this area and went over for this area. And all of them are the same size. Doesn't that work nicely? Okay. Now you can see what she's added. She's added everything that we have. So we have some chipboard. Isn't that clever how she just inked the edge and how great that looks? There is our 3D suitcase. Now, even though that's 3D, it's not hugely bumpy. You might want to put a piece of scrap cardstock on top of it when you go to mail it. These are the die cuts. You know this is the cutting die. And we'll go inside. There is another of the pieces on the paper towel. And this is the postcard. And it is this pyramid that builds up. Happiness is being with you. That is one of the die cuts. Here we've got chipboard. This is chipboard. Chipboard, isn't that pretty with the seagulls? Have a fabulous birthday. And this has got chipboard and the cutting die right there. So all of that is just going to go right here. And you can use our envelopes, our 10 envelopes, to send it. So that will work quite nicely. I never want to leave you with a card that you can't mail to someone. So there we go. That is our last card. Oh, and she did use a tiniest bit of jute to tie on that tag onto the suitcase. So that worked quite nicely. Okay, so we have a whole array of wonderful projects. I just really believe that you will agree. They just look like that. And some simpler ones, but are clever, and some colorful ones with a wonderful cutting die. And then also we have this, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think well worth it. And then we have this with some of the paper towel. So that's very, very nice. Okay, this is all with our Coastal Nostalgia collection, with our 12 by 12 patterned and solid, with our die cuts, with our 6 by 6, and the cutting dies. And where is my chipboard? There it is. And there's the chipboard. So we have all of those elements in this collection of wonderfulness. Okay, there is a money saver. Of course there's a money saver. It's over on the right-hand side of your screen. And I just want to tell you that if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, Paper Wishes is the only place you can buy these. Now, it's interesting because other companies have used the term coastal, and I think that's really kind of fun that that's happened. Of course, we don't talk to each other when we're designing, but that's kind of interesting how it happened. But I do think that the idea of coastal with being sentimental longing and wistful affection. I just like those terms. I think they're really nice. I go right along with that for this collection. As I said, there is a money saver right there. Other things to tell you. There is a free download because, you know, we love you. And so you can get this. If you get our emails, you will get a link to it. You can print it out, use it as often as you want. They are gorgeous. And they match the papers and everything. We also have subscriptions. I know, that's just amazing to hear. Oh wait, let me tell you about the VIPs. Okay, if you have purchased $500 in the last 12 months, you will be a VIP. We just do it automatically. And what that means is that you can get a preview of the papers. So when you are a VIP, you will get an email. You will have a code that is unique to you. You can enter that with your next order, and you will get 2 each of the 6x6 papers. Free, absolutely free. Free VIP, free die cuts, just because. Now let's get into the subscriptions. If you love this as much as I do and you would like to have everything, we have 2 ways that you can do it. One of them does not have the cutting die. And that one, we call it I Want It All. You will get 20%, did you hear me? 20% off of the order. And it will come to you before the webisode. So those of you who have this subscription, you already have this collection. And because it's hot off the press, you have ideas on the back of the packages. So you may have already made a thing or 2. Now, if you want those cutting dies, because Paulette, why wouldn't you want the cutting dies? We call it I Really Want It All. Same deal, 20% off. And you will get this before the webisode. And you will have all of the pieces, absolutely all of them. So those are the 2 subscriptions that should also be over there on the right-hand side of your screen. So we have free things for you, things that you have to qualify for to get for free, and then we have the subscriptions just as to make it easy. We do 1 set a year, 1 set a month, so you will get 12 at the end of the year. They are all seasonal, and they will match what's going on. Okay, so that's what I have for you. I want to thank you for watching us. And did I tell you if you're on YouTube, head on over to Paper Wishes? Well, if I didn't, I should have. And check the subscribe thing on YouTube too, okay? I do want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank Debbie for just doing a magnificent job. The woman is brilliant, and we love her. So I want to thank Debbie, and most of all, I want to thank you, because you're the reason that we get to be here and do this. And you are the most important part of Paper Wishes, and we do appreciate you. Okay, bye-bye. We'll see you again.